Days of Our Lives. Next week promo, a descent into DiMera madness, deep dive analysis. But before we dive into the nitty gritty, let's talk about that glitch. A lot of you in the comments, shout out to at DJ Vida and at Chelsea Linden, were rightfully annoyed that the promo cut off at 18 seconds. Talk about a cliffhanger within a cliffhanger, but don't worry. I've tracked down the full footage from the IG and Bluesky leaks to give you the complete picture. Let's break down why next week might change the DiMera dynasty forever. The Kristen DiMera conundrum hero, V-line, or just plain crazy. Let's be real for a second. Kristen DiMera hitting Psycho Sophia with a rock. Absolutely legendary and terrifying at the same time. While some fans like at Pipplewinkle are calling for Kristen's head and even threatening to cancel their Peacock subscriptions, I'm sitting here thinking, is this really out of character? Kristen has always been a loose cannon, but this feels different. We're seeing a shift from scheming vixen back to the dangerous sociopath we saw in the mid-90s. Remember when she kept Marlena in a secret room under the mansion? This rock-wielding Kristen is a direct throwback to that era of unhinged desperation. I disagree with the fans who say she's incapable of murder. Let's not forget, she's a DiMera by blood, or at least by Stefano's grooming. Murder is practically a Sunday brunch activity for this family. However, I have to agree with at Taylor Moore 08S, Kristen needs to pay, but prison, that's too easy for Salem. I'm predicting a much darker fate. If EJ finds out she nearly got Johnny, his own son, killed, we aren't looking at a legal battle. We're looking at a civil war. I suspect EJ might pull a classic Stefano move and exile her to a private island. Wouldn't that be poetic justice? The woman who has trapped half of Salem in cages finally getting a cage of her own. The ghost of Sophia and the dead dilemma. Now, the burning question, is Sophia actually dead at Joe Louis? M3B and at Pat Smith, B6X are asking the right questions. In Salem, dead is a very relative term. Unless we see a body in a closed casket that then gets cremated, and even then, it's 50, over 50, she's coming back. The theory circulating right now, which I totally buy into, is that Kristen is going to start seeing Ghost Sophia. Many of you mentioned Kristen looking horrified at a vision. Is it a haunting? Or is Kristen finally snapping under the weight of her own guilt? Personally, I think Sophia is alive but in a coma. And the ghost is just Kristen's deteriorating psyche. It's a brilliant parallel to when Abigail was haunted by Andre. The writers love using the guilty conscience trope to drive legacy characters into Bayview. And Kristen is prime candidate for a padded cell right now. The Will Reading the power vacuum. Tony and Anna are back, and let's be honest, the show is always 100% better when they're on screen. But their timing is suspicious. The rumors about the DiMera are reaching a fever pitch. Who inherits the mansion? Who gets the shares? If I were a betting man, I'd say Stefano's will has one more screw you from beyond the grave. Imagine if he left the mansion to Theo, or even Chad, completely bypassing EJ and Kristen. That would set the stage for a summer of corporate backstabbing that would make the 2012 DiMera Kyriakis Wars look like a playground dispute. And for those of you waiting for Lexi to wake up during the reading at Eddie Boyke, I love your optimism. That would be the ultimate mic drop moment. Imagine the look on EJ's face If his dead sister walked in just as he was about to sign the papers, relationship red flags, Alex, Stefania, and the match factor moving away from the blood and business. Let's talk about the romance or lack thereof. At Mike1071 hit the nail on the head. Brady and Sarah have as much spark as a box of wet matches. Ouch, but true. Why are we forcing this? It feels like the writers are just shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. And then there's Alex. Oh, Alex. At Goldenheart. F5F is worried about him cheating on Stephanie with Joy. And honestly, he probably will. Alex is a legacy playboy. And the writers seem determined to keep him in that lane rather than giving him real growth. It's frustrating because we've seen him show heart. But the pull of a new face in Salem is usually too much for a Kyriakis man to resist. My prediction, Alex tries to convince Joy to stay. Things get messy. And Stephanie ends up heartbroken. Again, why this matters, the sweep strategy. We are in May sweeps. People, this is why the storylines are getting dialed up to 11. The Johnny Dream explosion might have felt bogus to some, but it's all about high stakes and keeping us talking. What I find most interesting is the psychological breakdown of the fans. We've got people cheering for Sophia's death and others horrified by Kristen's descent. That is the mark of a great soap opera. It's not about who is right, it's about the chaos. Final verdict and predictions. Here is what I think is going to happen next week. The cover-up Kristen will try to clean up the blood, but Jada's too smart. That blood on the tracks isn't going away. Kristen will pivot and try to frame Dimitri or someone else who is already on their way out of town. The confrontation EJ is going to corner Kristen. He's already connecting the dots. The brother-sister bond is about to be incinerated. The wild card Sophia isn't dead. She's going to be the boogeyman in the shadows, stalking Rachel and Kristen until the very end of the month. But here's the kicker. What if the person Kristen actually hit wasn't Sophia? What if it was a case of mistaken identity in the dark? Now that would be a classic Days twist. What do you guys think? Is Kristen finally beyond redemption? Do you want to see her in prison or an island exile? And please, someone tell me I'm not the only one bored to tears by Brady and Sarah. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. I'll be lurking there to see your theories. Have a safe weekend. Salem. And get ready. Monday is going to be a bloodbath. And remember, in Salem, the only thing more certain than a recast is a resurrection. Stay tuned.